Okay, you're gonna need a couple tools. You're gonna be taking the harness all loose, all of it, out of the way to get the carb out. Same thing up here. Front throttle cable, rear throttle cable, and also the choke linkage and the parts for it for front and rear carb. Get those off. You got your gas line in between them, and then your gas that comes up and feeds the bottom carb, which is this hose right here. You're gonna want to get all that off. You got your crankcase hose off, and your seat off, your gas tank, and your side covers, and also the mount that holds the front of the seat down, and both side covers and the gas tank bolts there. Your coil pack's got to come off to get out of the way for the rear carburetor. Both the boots, obviously. And this linkage cable that's between these two, what happens here is this is your throttle right here. But you can see the part behind it, the cable's hooked to doesn't move. This is like an idle up little setup, see it move? And it does the same thing on here. As you tighten this cable in between the two, it'll idle it up, and this thing will sit here, bop, 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 and you know, you get your everything going. Then you put your throttle cables on it and adjust them accordingly where they're just snug, and then you can start to throttle into it, and it evenly throttles into it. Because what's really crazy is you can see it, there's an adjustment here and an adjustment here. So you're throttling one carb up, then the other carb up. I got these glued to where when you tighten these down, they're even, and that's that. And so that's always even, because you also have an adjustment right here. So you can adjust here, here, and here for just the throttle up on the carbs. I have this all set, the bike runs good, so these are glued like this little nut. So when you tighten it down to it, then you just snug the whole thing, and the throttle cables are always even. The only thing you have to worry about is when you break this cable loose in between them to move the carbs out, because you have, you know, a frame piece. One's behind it, so you have to be able to link them to get it over. Well, when you do that, it screws with this, and you can see it's adjusted to where it can go down, and then the same thing on the other side, and this cable adjusts here and here as well. So then that way, this links these and makes these two pull the flap up just a hair on each one to where they're even, and it's in between them to where you're getting the same amount of air here and here that comes through the diaphragm here on the side. I'm not sure specifically how it works. I just know how to rebuild them pretty good from the years of owning the bike. And like I explained, this cable between them, you'll adjust it here and down here, and down here I have it fixed so I can just do it by the front one, but it'll tighten this cable. And when you hear both of these, you know, the idle be where it's at, and it starts banging back and forth in between each other. Then I hook up my throttle cables, and they're always pre-adjusted right where they should be anyway, and we're good to go. And that brings idle up even more. But it's hard to explain unless you have a manual or you're familiar with a twin motor and synchronizing the cable for both carbs and adding the throttle cables back to them and synchronizing the throttle cable adjustments and this cable in between the two. I wouldn't recommend doing it, because this bike won't run right, because it's going to go bang, ba bang, ba bang, you know, bop, 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 bop. And if you don't have it doing that, you're going to have one bam, 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 and this one not. And when you throttle into it, this cylinder will kick in, and this one will already be on, or you'll have this one not on and this one on, and when you throttle it, they'll both kick in, and they should both be on and back and forth cackling. And then as soon as you throttle in both of them evenly idle up, it's very hard to get this adjustment for the front and the rear throttle cables alone, and then you're going to have this adjustment in between the two to synchronize them together. It is quite the nightmare. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't try to tackle this yourself on your bike. Take it into someone that knows what they're doing, or a guy like me that's a friend that you have that can do it, or you're going to be in loads of trouble. Like I say, the whole harness and everything's got to come up out of the way, and the coil packs bolt here. So you can imagine everything's over the carburetor and it's down in here, you know. And the same thing vice versa up here. See, it sets straight down in, just the way they are. All right, good luck out there. We'll be back. I'm gonna get these parts all tore out of these, when the stuff comes in the mail, and I'll show them being tore apart, put all back together. I'll put them in there and we'll show the bike running, because the adjustment part, sometimes it's in between an hour to 4 hours to get these carburetors adjusted and this thing cackling properly. So I probably won't film that, but we'll film them coming apart and the new parts going in them, and some of the process of it going together and what it sounds and looks like afterward. All right, thanks for stopping by.